Doctor and Bill turn up in 1814 London, the last of the great frost fairs. Bill isn't sure about this as she's black and she's worried about slavery issues. The Doctor agrees, so they head back inside and have a quick change of clothing, making Bill look more like a lady and perhaps less like a slave. Inside, the TARDIS is trying to warn them that a huge kilometre-long sea creature has been detected in the Thames. While they explore the fair, the Doctor's sonic screwdriver is pinched by a street urchin. The Doctor gives chase, and the street urchin ends up going out onto some thin ice, where he is surrounded by glowing green lights and sucked down. The Doctor manages to save his sonic screwdriver, but the kid is killed. Bill can't believe the Doctor doesn't have more of an emotional response to this and shouts at him about how this makes him look. The Doctor tries to explain, and they head off in pursuit of the other street urchins and find them. They tell the Doctor that they are hired by Lord Sutcliffe to bring people out onto the ice. The Doctor decides it's time to look below the ice to see what's hidden there, and in diving suits, him and Bill go down and find a huge sea creature and lots of smaller creatures with lights on their heads. The Doctor realises the small creatures aren't carnivorous at all, they're just working with the sea creature. Going to Sutcliffe's manor house, the Doctor gets into an argument with Sutcliffe after he insults Bill and ends up hitting him, at which point Sutcliffe orders the Doctor and Bill to be taken away, tied up and put on the ice. When that's been done with them, the Doctor realises that Sutcliffe's plan is to destroy the ice and everyone on it to feed his sea creature. He tells Bill to get everyone off the ice as fast as possible, telling them that the ice is thinning and thawing and is about to crack. Sutcliffe tries to stop this, but realises he can't, so he detonates the explosives early. Unfortunately for him, the Doctor has already moved the explosives to the chains that were holding down the sea creature, and in setting off the explosives, Sutcliffe frees his monster, but unfortunately also falls through the ice himself. Bill makes a last dash to the Doctor as he saves her from the broken ice beneath her, and as the sea creature escapes down the Thames, they both get a bath. Finally, the Doctor goes to Sutcliffe's house, where he manages to fake a will and testament of Sutcliffe's, making the street urchins the inheritors of Sutcliffe's estate. Hey everyone, welcome to UK Media Warrior and episode 3 of season 10 of the new Doctor Who series, this one entitled Thin Ice. Now, as I say, it's the third episode in this new series. The last two episodes I've been pretty harsh about. This one is more in line with the Doctor Who that we know and love. It has a little bit more meat to the bones of the story than the last two episodes did. However, again, it does have its downsides. The plot is, again, a regurgitated Doctor Who theme that we've seen dozens and dozens of times before, about a poor sea creature or a poor creature that's been imprisoned for nefarious uses by some rich guy or whatever, some culture, and the Doctor has to free the creature, bring the bad guy to justice, and everyone's happy. It's a story that Doctor Who has done a million times before. It's old, it's tried and trusted, I suppose, and that's why they keep doing it. But as I say, it's the best so far, I feel, of the last 3 episodes. But that's not saying much. This episode has its bad points. I mean, it starts off on a pretty weak point. I mean, the first thing they do is hammer us with slavery. Now, slavery is obviously a terrible institution, and it has been outlawed, I think, around the world pretty much. But when this story is set in 1814 London, slavery is actually illegal in Britain. Now, that said, it's not illegal in the rest of the British Empire. It's still legal in the West Indies, it's still legal in India, but in Britain itself, it's not legal. So, for example, if a military officer came back from India with a slave, was in Britain in his house, the slave escapes, that officer would have no legal rights to chase that slave down and bring him home and put him once again back into slavery. It wouldn't be allowed. So for Bill to say, look, I'm black, that's not going to work here because of slavery, and the Doctor to go, yeah, you're right, okay, we better do something about that. That's actually wrong. The Doctor should know that actually in Britain in 1814, Bill will be fine. Okay, there'll be racist comments, she'll be looked down on by the whites. I mean, the black population of London in 1814 was like 1 to 3%. So, I mean, they're very few and far between, despite what this episode would have you believe. So she would be looked down upon, but there wouldn't be the slavery issue that this episode tries to make you believe. And that was just, I managed to find all of that out in 20 minutes on Google. So why these writers don't put more effort into these stories and making them right, I don't know. The only reason I can think is the writer wanted to make a statement about slavery, wanted to make an issue about the fact that Bill's black, and this was the best way of doing it. But anyone who is at all interested or at all knowledgeable or at all interested in checking on that is going to find out, and it makes the writer and the series look stupid. So I wish they'd just stop doing it. It really annoys me. So anyway, that out of the way. The rest of the episode plods along, in a typical Doctor Who fashion. Things happen. I mean, the visuals are fantastic. I'm a sucker for anything that's snow covered anyway, so seeing winter was nice. And the Thames looked cool. I mean, it's probably in Wales somewhere, or in a studio in Wales somewhere, but it looked good. So the visuals are fantastic. The acting was a little bit more on point. Bill is starting to become more of a character rather than just a two-dimensional companion who's just there to look stupid and vacant. However, there is a rather sudden shift in her character. For the last 2 episodes, she's been pretty much just gulping at everything and not really saying much that's intelligent. In this episode, that's how she starts out, as they're looking around the frost fair and she's like amazed at everything she's seeing. And that's fair enough. I mean, she's a person from the 21st century injected into the 1814 frost fair in London. She's going to be looking around with a little bit of amazement. And I appreciate that. I get that. That's not an issue for me. However, when the Doctor and Bill see that kid get sucked under the ice and obviously dies, the kid dies, the way Bill suddenly turns on a sixpence and starts getting into the Doctor about, well, you obviously have no emotions, you're not showing any regret that kid's dead, and really having a go at him. So where the hell did this come from? I mean, she's shown nothing that would indicate that she has this inside her in the last 2 episodes. And she's been through some pretty traumatic events in the last 2 episodes. And yet we don't see any inkling of this. Then all of a sudden she's rounding on the Doctor and laying into him. And it just feels like a very sudden shift in character dynamics. And it sort of made me think, whoa, hang on a minute, But the Doctor tries to explain that he's like 2,000 years old. He's seen many, many people die, and he's killed many, many people. Not cold-bloodedly, probably, but by his attempts to make things right, or in a situation where there are no good choices, only bad ones, and he has to make the choice, people die. And in 2,000 years, this has happened to him a lot. And he tries to explain that to Bill, who finally seems to get it as the episode goes on. Another slight problem I have with this episode is the antagonist and his sea creature. Now, according to what Sutcliffe says, this sea creature has been imprisoned on the bottom of the Thames for generations. His family have been using the creature's crap, for want of a better word, to make their money because it burns hotter than coal, lasts longer than coal, burns underwater. The Doctor says it would have possibly enough energy to fuel the starship. So it's pretty heavy stuff that this creature is pooping out the back. Now, Sutcliffe says that his family's been using this for generations. So generations of Sutcliffes have this substance that burns hotter than coal, longer than coal, burns underwater, and has the power to fuel starships. And nobody in Britain has noticed this. It's never come up. The government hasn't got involved. Are the Sutcliffes just stockpiling this all over Britain in case of a rainy day or something? I mean, they must be using it, and if they were using something this substantial, then people would find out and know about it. So that was a bit weird. And equally, if the sea creature has been chained on the bottom of the Thames for generations, and this is 1814 London, how were all the bridges over the Thames built? Nobody noticed when they were laying pilings for these bridges that, oh, there's this big sea creature down here, what do we do about it? Nobody noticed that? In all the time that the sea creature's been down there, generations, as is said by Sutcliffe, nobody noticed this huge thing at the bottom of the Thames. The Thames isn't that deep. When it comes down to it, when you've got a huge effing sea creature, a kilometre long, tied up and chained in the bottom of the Thames, people would know about it. People would see the damn thing. So that was just ridiculous. But that's really all the bone picking I've got to do on this episode. Like I say, out of the three that we've seen so far, this one was most certainly the best of the three. So I'm hoping that this shows an upswing in the episodes that we've got coming down the pike. It ended on an interesting note where Nardole goes down to the cellar under the university and to that big door that we've seen in the last two episodes, and there's a banging on the door, and Nardole says, you know, I'm not letting you out so you can stop banging, but he looks really worried as he rushes away. So once again, what's behind the door? You know, there's rumours all over the place. Is it some monster? Is it the master, perhaps? People have said that these are Gallifreyan symbols on the door. So is it something to do with the Time Lords? But then if so, what? That's where the master comes in. But I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But yeah, so for this episode, the visuals are great, the costumes are incredible, the sea creature looked a bit hammy. I mean, it reminded me of something that we'd probably see in Tom Baker or John Pertwee or Peter Davidson's era when it came to monsters, but alright, we'll let that one slip. We didn't see that much of it, so fair enough. The baddie was just a conventional two-dimensional baddie, so no depth there at all. The plot was a little bit silly, obviously, as I've stated, but yep, I can live with this one. This one I'm going to give 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Wasn't great, but certainly wasn't as bad as the last two episodes. So fingers crossed, this is looking up for Doctor Who. We'll see you next week for the next episode's review. Until then, you guys take care. And if you like this review, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or share me on Facebook. Thank you very much. You guys take it easy. See you later.